Imagine this. You're Sam, a rugged outdoorsman who's just relocated to the Yellowhammer State, Alabama, where the rolling hills of the Appalachians meet the fertile plains of the Black Belt, and the spirit of Southern independence runs as deep as the Alabama River. You've got a background in shooting sports from your days up north, perhaps plinking targets with your dad on family land. Now settling into a cozy spot in Birmingham or a serene corner of Huntsville, you're eager to understand the local gun laws as a civilian owner. What's allowed with that suppressor for quieter range days? Are there caps on magazine sizes? Do you need to declare your carry to an officer during a traffic stop? And how did concealed carry evolve here? Let's follow your adventure of exploration, navigating the facts like a hike through the Sipsey wilderness, with a dash of historical context on how these rules took shape. First, envision yourself at a bustling gun store in Montgomery, eyeing suppressors, those clever attachments that dampen the sharp crack of a gunshot, safeguarding your hearing without mythically silencing it like in the movies. In Alabama, suppressors are fully legal for civilians like you, provided you comply with federal regulations under the National Firearms Act of 1934. That landmark federal law emerged from the chaotic Prohibition era, aimed at reining in mobsters armed with machine guns and silencers during the likes of the St. Valentine's Day Massacre. It mandates a thorough ATF background check, a $200 tax stamp, fingerprinting, photos, and registration, often taking 6-12 months, though e-filing has sped things up in recent years. Alabama imposes no additional state bans or requirements. In fact, since a 2014 legislative tweak via Act 2014-426, which aligns state law with federal allowances, you've been able to use suppressors for hunting, making those dawn pursuits of white-tailed deer or wild turkey less ear-ringing. As of October 2025, no major state changes, but there's ongoing federal chatter. The Hearing Protection Act was reintroduced in Congress in January 2025, backed by Alabama senators pushing to deregulate suppressors as everyday accessories by scrapping the NFA hurdles. For now, Sam, if you're 21 or older, law-abiding and patient, file that ATF Form 4 and savor the subdued shots. Just ensure responsible use, as violations could land you federal felony charges. As the shop clerk hands you some ammo, your gaze lands on rows of magazines, high-capacity ones holding 20, 30, even 50 rounds or more. You pause. Any limits here? Good news. Alabama has absolutely no restrictions on magazine capacity for civilians. You can purchase, possess, or use any size that fits your firearm, be it a handgun, rifle, or shotgun. This open policy reflects the state's long-standing commitment to minimal interference with gun ownership, never imposing assault weapon bans or mag caps at the state level. The backstory harks back to the federal assault weapons ban of 1994, enacted under President Clinton amid rising concerns over mass shootings and urban crime, which temporarily limited new magazines to 10 rounds nationwide until its sunset in 2004. Alabama, true to its pro-Second Amendment roots, didn't adopt similar measures post-expiration, and efforts to introduce state-level bans like a failed 2019 bill amid national debates have repeatedly fizzled in the legislature. Today, as confirmed by the NRA and Alabama Law Enforcement Agency updates through mid-2025, it's all about individual accountability. So Sam, stock up on those extended mags for target practice or home defense, but always prioritize safety training and adhere to range policies to avoid any mishaps. A week later, you're cruising down a sun-dappled highway, perhaps heading to the Gulf Coast for some fishing, when sirens wail and lights flash behind you. Pulse quickening, you ease onto the shoulder, maybe for a speeding ticket or a busted brake light. With your pistol secured nearby, the big question hits: must you tell the officer you're armed? In Alabama, the answer is straightforward and reassuring. There's no general duty to inform law enforcement that you're carrying a firearm unless they specifically ask about weapons. This applies whether you're carrying openly, concealed without a permit, or with one. Politeness and compliance are key, but you don't have to volunteer the info up front during routine interactions. This hands-off approach evolved from the state's permit system, formalized in the early 20th century but refined over decades. Early laws, dating to the 1911 Code of Alabama, required permits for concealed carry and included notification duties in certain scenarios, but as gun rights expanded, the emphasis shifted to no mandatory disclosure. The pivotal 2022 HB 272, which ushered in permitless carry effective 2023, didn't impose a duty to inform, aligning with the USCA and handgunlaw.us guidelines that stress it's not required unless queried. No 2025 amendments here, Sam. Just keep your hands visible, follow commands, and if asked, disclose calmly to de-escalate. Finally, let's trace the heart of your carry rights. Concealed carry itself, as you strap on that holster for a walk in the park. Alabama's journey to becoming a constitutional carry state is a tale of gradual liberation from restrictive roots. In the post-Reconstruction era of the late 1800s, concealed weapons were heavily regulated under laws like the 1871 Code, born from fears of post-Civil War violence in duels where hidden guns were seen as tools of ambush rather than defense. For over a century, carrying concealed required a permit from local sheriffs, often discretionary and varying by county. The tide turned in 2013 with Act 2013-283, which standardized the process as shall issue, mandating sheriffs to grant licenses to qualified applicants over 18 after background checks, fees, and no training requirement, making it one of the easiest in the South. But the real breakthrough came in 2022. Amid national pushes for permitless carry, Governor Kay Ivey signed HB 272, effective January 1, 2023, allowing law-abiding residents 19 and older to carry concealed handguns without a permit, emphasizing self-defense rights under the state's 2014 constitutional amendment that subjected any gun restrictions to strict scrutiny. Permits remain optional, issued by sheriffs for $5 to $20 annually, primarily for reciprocity with about 25 other states, travel perks, or skipping background checks on purchases. Enhanced permits aren't a thing here, but the standard one unlocks those benefits. As of October 2025, no reversals despite some local debates. The Alea and Enraila affirm the freedom. Just steer clear of prohibited spots like schools, courthouses, mental health facilities, or posted businesses. And note that open carry is generally legal without a permit, though some locales have nuances. Through it all, Sam, Alabama's laws echo a heritage of self-reliance, blending historical caution with modern liberties, shaped by everything from Reconstruction tensions to 21st century rights advocacy. The state stays permissive, no waiting periods, no assault weapon bans, no universal background checks beyond federal requirements. But stay vigilant, consult the Alea website, USCA resources, or a local attorney for the latest, especially with the 2025 legislative session underway since March, where bills like HB 206 aim to tweak reciprocity but haven't altered core rules yet. Own wisely, train regularly, and cherish the freedoms of the Heart of Dixie. What's your take on these evolutions? Share in the comments.